I'm Candyce Grisham, and I am an author of the Dresden Quilt Blocks Reimagined, coming from C&T Publishing. The book will show you how to make multiple kinds of Dresden plates in all different sizes, different edge treatments, different color combinations, as well as some special pieced wedges that go even further. Today I'm going to show you how to do the Sawtooth block, which is a pieced wedge. In order to do this, you will need a wedge ruler. This is one from Creative Grid. It's an 18-degree wedge. Every Dresden plate has 20 wedges that you will cut out and piece together. You will need a rotary cutter, and it's nice to have this rotating rotary mat for this particular project. You will need a point turner. You will need 2 fabrics that have a nice contrast in color and value, 1/3 of a yard each. A small 4-inch or so piece for your center, a 4-inch or so piece of fusible interfacing to stabilize the block. I use freezer paper templates for my centers and a piece of cardstock that I'll show you what to do. Also a marking tool. You start out by cutting 3 3 3/8 strips width of fabric from each of the fabrics. From those, you're going to cut out rectangles that are 3 3/8 by 5 3/4, and you need 20 from each fabric. After you've cut out your rectangles, you're going to take a rectangle from each fabric and put that at a 90-degree angle, right sides together. This is similar to how you would piece binding or borders. You need to make a mark on this with your marking tool. I think of going from Seattle to Miami when I do this, and I'm going from this top point all the way down to the bottom point on the lower rectangle. And then you're going to stitch that. You're going to do that for all 20 blocks, all 20 rectangles. After that, you're going to press this, and you can cut away these back triangles and use those on another project. Now you're going to have units that look like this. And you have to decide now, are you going to put the dark fabric on the outside and that block would then look like this, or are you going to put the light fabric on the outside and that block would look like this? I'm going to do the dark today. You take your unit, and using the 8-inch line on my ruler, I place the 8-inch line right across the top narrow edge of that rectangle, and I'm going to trim. I'm going to rotate that, lining it up, and trim again. And then I have a wedge that looks like this. Once you've cut all 20 wedges, you need to decide if you're going to have a straight edge on your Dresden plate, and you would just sew those together. This would be a straight edge Dresden plate. I'm going to make this one into points, and so in order to do that, you take each wedge, fold it in half along the long edge. Make a 1/4-inch seam right across the top of that fold, and then trim off just a little bit at that folded corner to reduce the bulk that's on there. At that point, you're going to want to turn your wedge, and it's really nice to do just a small amount of finger pressing of that seam. Turn your wedge and use your pointer to press that seam point out. This is where the index card comes in handy. You have a 45-degree line drawn on it. You line up your seam line with your 45-degree line, and it's going to give you a perfectly even folded edge there, and press that. And then I have those, there's my points, all ready to go. Once you have all 20 points, you can start to see the layout. You're going to seam these together along the longer edges. I line up the folds, I backstitch slightly to the fold to keep it keeps it secure, it keeps all those little threads from being in the way, and then I stitch the whole edge, and then I press the seam open. I like to use a pressing bar, and this is a homemade one, but it works, that I can press these seams open, and then as I get to each subsequent seam, it's out of the way, it presses beautifully, and it's very easy. There are a lot of these around. So once you've sewn all 20, you've got your plate finished. You can then stabilize opening circle here by just taking a small bit of this fusible, turning it to the back with the fusible side facing the front. This also gives you the added benefit of a little bit of stickiness on the front when you put your center on. I make my center with my freezer paper template and it's appliqued on and you are done. Your block is finished. It's ready to applique by hand or machine to a quilt top or a bag or a pillow or whatever you would like. Check out my website, iCandy Fiber Art. And thank you, Dresden Quilt Blocks Reimagined.